Well, what an interesting panel. Who would have thought? Put a philosopher in your life. Amazing, right? What an interesting sentence that Clara said. It's more difficult to change a face than to change a password. Think about that. All right, let me ask you another question. How many of you have achieved a goal today, or several goals today? Any goals? Well, many. Well, by being at South Summit, you probably have achieved several goals in one day, right? We know that those who write down their goals are 95% more likely to achieve them, and that the two best practices for goal setting include measuring them, and having a deadline. Well, one format to do this is the practice of the OKRs. Do you know what they are? Yes, you do. It's written in the program. I'm not going to ask because, we have somebody who's going to talk about that. They stand for objectives and key results. A system that originated at Intel and was later popularized by Google, OKRs are now the way many companies like LinkedIn, Twitter, and more said they achieve their goals. Our keynote speaker is going to talk to us precisely about that, and it is a real thrill to introduce her. Because despite her being now the head of Google for Startup, she's always and will always be the heart and soul of South Summit. Please welcome Sofía Benjumea. Sophie. Hi. Sophie. There she is.
Gracias, Helen. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I know you're all tired of spending here the whole day. I hope you've enjoyed this first day at South Summit. I'm here to talk, looks like pretty boring, about methodologies, processes, but I hope it's insightful and it's helpful at some point in the life of your company. So the reason I'm here, I'm the head of Google for Startups in Spain, and the reason we exist is because we want to level the playing field for founders across the globe, to really give the same opportunities to a founder that starts in Spain, Silicon Valley, London, whatever they start, to actually have the same opportunities to succeed. And that by bringing the best of Google. And why are we doing this? I tend to show the typical picture of the founders, Larry or Sergey, in their garage when they were starting more than 20 years ago. And the reason I show this is for two reasons. One, because Google wouldn't be the company it is today if they had started 20 years ago somewhere else. It will never have become what it is today, probably. And this is one of the problems that we're trying to tackle. And the second is that even if it's more than 100,000 employees company today, global present, they haven't forgotten how tough it is to start and how important it is, this ecosystem that surrounds you, and all the knowledge that they got for actually is having started in Stanford, in Silicon Valley. They got the best experts, they got the best investors, they got really the industry insights to turn an idea into what it is today, Google. So today, I want to just roughly explain to you a little bit of what we do. So we have several accelerators. We have Residency. We just actually open applications. We have Growth Lab, which is a short accelerator to help startups really grow and go international. And we have GFS Accelerator, Google for Startups Accelerator, that we're running this month in October, also in Malaga, focused on cybersecurity. It's a program much more focused on deep tech startups and helping on product. But the core is an example of this picture, which is Advisor Summit, which is we're bringing the best of Google to the startups. And that best of Google, it's mainly about bringing Googlers, bringing experts from the company. And as we started with the obvious. OK, we'll bring our products, or we'll bring experts in sales, or experts in internationalization. And then we realized, digging a little bit in what can we bring from Google to the startups, we realized that there was some magical asset that we had, which was the processes that we have as a company that we use on a daily basis that have led us to go from the garage to our company, the processes that have helped us maintain our culture from what we are today to what we are today, and the ones that actually have driven us to have an excellent execution, because as we'll see after, the ideas are worth nothing. So as Peter Drucker said, culture is strategy for breakfast. And we don't take that much into account culture, especially when we're small. Then it starts to appear, the culture of your company. And it's easy to maintain the vision. It's easy to maintain the communication. It's easy to maintain even the culture that has automatically appeared in your team when your team can share 2 pizzas, and that's it, and everything goes well. But what about when you scale? If you want to scale your culture, if you want to keep the communication, if you want to keep the vision, you need to establish some processes to really make it happen. So at Google, we have some examples of that. We want to maintain a culture of innovation. We have 20%. So any Googler can actually devote 20% of the time to work on something totally different. We have tools to maintain the transparency, for example, TGIF, which is something that they created when we were 20, in which every Friday, the founders of the company, of the leadership of the company, stands up on a stage like this and shares confidential information and everything that they're doing, that Google is doing in different areas with everyone in the company. And they trust that none of us is going to be sharing it, and they make us part of all these little projects that are happening within Google. And these are just examples. And the next one, which we're talking today, is OKRs. So this is John Doerr, is a famous investor. He was one of the first investors in companies such as Google, Amazon, pretty smart guy. And he implemented this methodology in Google back in 1999, and is the actual methodology that allowed us to scale from the 20, 30 employees that we're now to the 120,000 employees that we're now. And we're still using it. And it allowed us to execute on the plan. Because as John Doerr said, ideas are worth absolutely nothing. You need a framework. You need a plan. You need excellence in execution. And I'm not saying you all need to implement this, but you need to find your methodology to just make sure that everyone in the team is aligned. So what is this? Basically, OKRs stands for Objectives and Key Results. You still have to have your vision and your mission as a company. And you probably have your strategic goals 5 years from now. But then you need to really define what are the objectives that are going to trigger where you go, and then how are you going to get there. The objectives is, as we're saying, where do I need to go? And the key results are the how do I know that I'm getting there? What needs to happen for me to accomplish on that goal, on that objective? And this seems like super obvious, easy. Yeah, it's super tough. It's very, very difficult, especially not to think that key results, it's tasks. It's not about tasks. It's really about what are the ingredients that need to happen, like the perfect temperature for everything to happen right way. And the benefits are huge. It helps discipline and engagement, because everyone in a company is part of a definition of the OKRs. It forces focus. It's all about transparency. Even at Google, we can have access to most of the team's OKRs. I have Sundar's. Sundar's has mine. Everyone knows what's happening. And it also creates collaboration, because I know who's doing what are their objectives, and actually the cross-collaboration, because maybe my objective my key result requires the support of someone else's teams. And of course, the alignment. One of the goals of this is you can actually go and stop every single person in your company and ask them, what is the objective? What is the goal? And they'll know how to answer. Where are we heading? And we're all heading in the same direction. So just a couple of examples, basically to differentiate objectives and key results that are about the outcome. Objectives, where do I need? It's inspiring. It sets direction. Key results, how do I know that I'm getting there? It measures the progress towards that objective. And then there are the tasks, the initiatives, but that's the output. That is what will I do to get there. They need to be set frequently. Normally, in companies such as us, we do them quarterly, We've implemented them in many startups, and at the beginning, when you're just changing and you're just figuring out, many startups, for example, decide to go and do them monthly or every 6 weeks. For example, Frontity, one of the startups, they started with 6 weeks. But make them frequent. Do not create too many, 4, 5 the most. Make sure that you're updating the progress regularly. Again, it requires discipline. They have to be publicly available. Again, it's all about transparency. And they need to be graded each quarter. The objectives, again, need to be significant, concrete, action-oriented, and inspiring. And the key results need to be SMART. And that stands for specific, measurable. You need to be able to measure. Otherwise, they're totally worthless. They need to be achievable, but at the same time ambitious, realistic, and time-bound. And I go back to this ambition. Google is also a company where part of our culture is about 10x, is about risking. They've created a safe environment for our employees to have people dare to risk. And OKRs are also a framework that allows for ambitious, because they're not tied to performance. Because we know that difficult goals boost the effort of the teams, the passion of the teams, and the persistence. And this is very, very important. I'll give you just an example, internal example. This is Sundar Pichai, our actual CEO, and at that point he was commanded to launch Chrome. First year, he said, okay, my target is going to be to launch Chrome and have 20 million users. Didn't make it. He got to 10 million. He said, okay, back to setting new OKRs. Now I'm going to aim 50 million, sorry. He didn't make it. He reached 30 million. And then he said, okay, now I'm going to say 100 million users. And there he got it. He got 120 million. And that's the aim of the OKRs. Just constant. Don't lose what's your objective and be ambitious. Dare to aim higher that you're going to get. Even if you know you're never going to get there, aim higher. And we score on a quarterly basis. You score those OKRs with the team, with the whole team. And this is one of the quotes we say, if you're continuously getting a 1, you aren't being ambitious enough, you aren't crushing it, you're just sandbagging. And you don't want that. And for that, it is key, and it's very, very important, not to tie the OKRs with performance. Otherwise, you're just killing the system, because just people are going to be aiming for the 1 to crush it, and you don't want that. The sweet spot is actually on a score of 0.7. They are scored between 0 and 1. And if you just keep falling under the red spot, I think this is something that it's used to help you refine the next OKRs, because it's a signal that new learning is required in the team. There's need for more time, more human resources, more money, or that you need to just go somewhere else. If they're immovable, maybe it's not worth your attention. And let's face it, it's tough. It takes time, and you will fail the first time. You'll probably fail the second quarter. You will even fail the third quarter. And for that, you really need, if you're the leaders of the company, if you really go for it, to implement this methodology, take time, be disciplined, and make sure that you communicate about the importance of this system. It isn't complicated. Objectives, key results seem easy, but it's hard. Mainly because you confuse them with minimum tasks, because people are not on board, or because you're not really communicating well with the rest of the team about the importance. And it involves people. So you need to have the management and the leadership buy-in to really implement this methodology. So as I was saying, if you're going to go for it, which I really recommend, you need to start with the leadership team, the management team, the founding team. You need to start with small number of OKRs. and start applying them to major projects. Maybe start with 1 project, 2 projects the most. And don't use them until you found product market fit. Because at that point, you're just constantly pivoting and trying to find the space. So it's just going to mess with all your strategies. So just find your product and market fit, and then figure out when you're just about to touch the growth, that's the time to start implementing them. Again, this is a constant conversation between the team. This is not about the leadership saying, this is what we have to do. This is about a conversation, bottom-up, top-down conversation with your teams and with the leadership. So just to summarize, the OKRs need to be ambitious, they need to be measurable, and they need to be transparent. And to just leave you guys, if you have a dream and you write it down and you put a date, it becomes a plan. It becomes a goal, sorry. If a goal is broken down into different steps, it becomes a plan. And a plan that is backed by action becomes a reality. So if you really want to make things happen, you need to have your own framework for execution. Thank you so much.